on a second. Let me say it again. It's not going. So, Miss Leon, what'd you think of today?
Well, now I can because it was better before when we weren't doing. A lot of positive changes. I saw that group over here with Freedom and Christopher Garcia and
Christopher Garcia is very.
Who else was in that group?
The African boy.
Oh, Kwame. They work so well together.
They do.
And
was that Freedom's initial team?
No, he decided he was going to join in because his partners were gone.
Yeah.
They were absent.
Because he was wandering over there.
Right.
I'm sure it was gone.
And he came in late. He wanted to do something else. I can't remember. But when Christopher said about putting plants up there, he just ran with it. And he actually was, Freedom was the leader. I saw him just take charge. He listened to the suggestions, but he just followed through. Then this group I liked because they kept thinking about the walls were so ugly, and then they decided they were going to do like a collage of ELA words. And I just mentioned how they had that open space right there, that blank wall, and so they decided to also try to fill it out, and that was good. No aggression. I didn't see any anger coming out. Nobody stealing materials like the last time, you know. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed watching them. It was a positive experience for me.
So what were the positive things you were seeing them do? So there are a bunch of things they didn't do, but what were some of the things that were new today?
They communicated. There was a lot of communication going on among the groups. A lot of sharing of ideas, a lot of accepting of ideas. They were open to different ideas. And everybody took on a role. So as I walked around, I did see everybody actively participating in trying to come up with something and then trying to complete it. So that was great. I don't know, and then I saw a lot of happy kids. And I like that. Because if they're happy, that means that they're feeling good about themselves. And I know nobody walked out of this classroom feeling bad about themselves. Not even Kevin's, who I had a reprimand, he jumped in. And I saw him working with this group and working well. So it was a good class, really good. I can't wait for the next one. Yeah.
And what'd you like?
What did I like? I like everything about it. I like that we modeled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt it was really important that you and I modeled what they were going to be doing, it's a very unusual experience for me because I know architecture, I know design. This is what it's about, and you're doing it. You know, it's just I'm a little mesmerized by the process. You know, it's just so, it's very simple, but it's like capturing the essence of what it means to design and build in a very rich way, where we're not telling them what to do. They're not learning by us telling them what to do, they're learning by doing it.
By doing it.
But I mean, and you hear that all the time. You know, of course, they're going to learn by doing it, but do you see those platforms where they're actually doing that? And architecture is like the best, you know, subject to actually be implementing that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have something very unique here, and it's extremely exciting because I know the potential of this because they're already like there. You know?
It's week 3.
I know, right?
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Now tomorrow I'm gonna, and I hope you guys don't mind, but tomorrow what I want to do is I want them to write about it. So in my ELA class, because we are working on what's the process.
Yes.
And we're doing the reading process and what is that process, but I'm going to tie that lesson with this. I want them to write about what was the process for today's lesson. what was it that they actually did and to write about it.
I love it.
Because I need for them to understand that what we learn in ELA can be transferred to some other subject. And whatever they learn in another subject can be transferred to ELA. That, you know, whatever we learn in school, they're going to need it out in the real world. And they haven't met that connection yet, or made that connection. So I want them to understand that.
I think it's huge too when we do something. When we're showing them, you know, I want us to be doing more of that because I can draw. And I want you to draw. You know?
You're right.
I did that today, but I hope we get to a place, it's very important that we get to a place where we're doing that together.
I can cover that with pretty paper.
Oh, you love it. I want you building with me, you know?
I can really make that
because I think when we're doing it together, we're going to come up with even more, you know, great possibilities. And I think you'll be able to support your kids even more so in this process because you're doing it and you're seeing the struggles so that you can have the kinds of conversations that will allow them to start like thinking outside the box.
Oh, but you know what?
You're doing it too.
Sometimes when I know I can't do something, I let my students do it first. I do. Because, okay, like for writing poetry. You still recording? No. Okay. So poetry is something that I'm not really fond of. But I let them write their poems. Because if I don't give them the structure, then they come up with beautiful poems. Okay? And so with that, sometimes, well, you saw the collage what they did. I didn't give them I didn't show them anything. And some of them came up with some real pretty, they asked me why it wasn't hanging up.
What I loved when I saw them sketching out their option, that was great.
Well, they were fearless. I mean, a couple of them, the two who were sketching couldn't really draw, but they had no hesitation about leaping in there.
Well, Freedom kept saying, well, I can't do this in pencil. I can't do this in pencil. I said, well, try it anyway. You know, just work on it.
How do you feel about that? I don't like pencil.
Yeah, that's all. But he still went ahead and did it with the marker.
Yeah, I told him he could use a pencil. I said, you gotta jump in with the marker.
Yeah, so he did.
I don't want you thinking about too much. Because this one started erasing immediately. You didn't even make a mark, like, drew a line. And was erasing away. I don't know his name. I said, no, give me the pencil, put it away.
Let me ask you, how do you guys feel about those students that have to leave the second half of class? And they will never build.
That's rough.
I hate it. That's a lot.
I know.
Those are good kids, too.
I know.
I saw who was going. I'm like, no, not you.
And they could benefit. They can really.
And they know they're missing out.
They know.
It doesn't help when you say, do you really have to go? Do you really want to go? It's just like, oh my God, poor kid.
Well, I just want to say it was really, when we put it up there, and I had the vantage point of being high, you know, the luck of being high, when you put that up there, the difference between holding it up and then once it was up there, and I got to look back on their faces, and all of a sudden it's like,
really?
it clicked. And you didn't need to say anything else. I mean, like literally, I think at that point they got it, which was really just exciting to see that again, you know, where can we cut out how much we explain and really just, I think as you're saying, pretty much get in that spirit of either showing or doing, like even simultaneously, like what if the three of us were also working on a portion of the classroom that, I mean, I think that's part of it is like there's nothing wrong with that. You know, people can have their own agency within that system too.
I think it's healthy. It's you know, it's the real world. It's very competitive. But if we showed it, you know, in a way that they're comfortable with that kind of competition, you know.
Well, I had the fact that they came up with, they wanted to do an ELA kind of, you know, mural, even though they only had like 20 minutes to do that, and so it didn't really become, you know, beautiful or whatever. The fact that they'd want to do that, that's pretty high order and special to actually, I mean, they're making that connection between design and school already if they're doing that, right? Which is really super exciting.
Well, they had a discussion about paint, and it was just like, it was already painted. Well, could you do something different? And the young man, he's also very lovely. He's short. He just was like, well, I like the words. words, like how
Yeah.
this one has words up here that, you know, reflect the ELA and yada yada yada, and the next thing I know, they're starting to draw words, and I'm like, well, what can you do with those words?
I like that idea too.
I know, I like that it's so messy, because that's what an idea is. You know, that's how you start with your ideas.
But
It's not about perfection, because they kept drawing those letters over and throwing out my white paper that I already had any of, because I wasn't sure if we were going to be using it. But I'm like, okay, guys, you gotta stop. You just gotta do it now. Just do it, put it up, and just start looking at it. Even when he started coloring and he wanted to color those letters in blue, I said, don't worry about that right now. Finish your thought and get it up there, and let's start looking at it.
And if you look at the writing process back there, the writing process, that's, I mean, you can't really see a lot, but the selecting, the developing,
Yes.
well, that's where they're at now. And see, if they don't understand that process, I mean, I can go over it with them and everything, but this year, it's going to give me another opportunity to say, look, what did you guys do in class yesterday? And they can see that whole process in something else that they actually enjoy. Because they say, Miss, this class went by fast. They couldn't believe that 90 minutes had went by.
I was
Today.
I was impressed with how engaged they were.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, having to say, you know, keep working. There was none of that. They were just completely
They were so
immersed
focused and in, yeah, they
the
were
task.
always,
And all of them know, you know.
yeah, this was a good class.
This was good. It was huge. I love that we broke it down. We need to keep breaking these lessons down so that we give them, you know, the best support that they can have to move through this on their own. We gave them everything, and they just jumped and bounced.